Hello everybody, this is Reaper here with Travel Gaming, and today we're doing a League of Legends guide on Jarvan the 4th. This is going to be a basic jungle guide. I do have a top lane guide on him also. Not going to be a whole lot of differences, but we will talk about the ability usage, and your items are going to be a little different, and your situational items are going to be different depending on how the game's going. We're going to be going over his abilities, his masteries, runes, and of course his item build. And at the end of the video we're going to have some footage so you can get an idea of how to use this in ganking situations and stuff of that nature. So let's go ahead and jump over to his abilities. Alright, so in his abilities, his passive ability, Martial Cadence, his initial basic attack on a target deals bonus physical damage. This does 10% of the enemy's max health up to a cap of 400 damage initially on the first attack. So this helps out with the ganking. That first attack is going to do bonus physical damage. Dragon Strike. Jarvan extends his lance, dealing physical damage and lowering the armor of all enemies in its path. Additionally, this will pull Jarvan to his Damascene standard, knocking up enemies in his path. This lowers the armor to by about 26% for 3 seconds at max level. Now, his Damascene standard combo that I was talking about, you throw the Damascene standard down on the enemy or as close to it, or maybe even a little bit past it, because when you hit it with the Dragon Strike, it'll pull you immediately to the standard, and it'll knock up any enemies in its path. So that's a CC in a way. It's an initiation into the combat, and it will knock up any enemies in its path to give you half a second to a second of CC on that. The Damascene standard passively granting him bonus attack speed and armor also. So the higher the level on that, the higher your attack speed and armor are going to increase. And then it will also, once you activate it, once you initiate the standard, it increases the attack speed of your nearby allies. The Golden Aegis, it gives you a little bit of a shield, but the biggest thing about it is it's another CC. It slows down the enemy, so you can use your combo to jump in there. You can hit your Golden Aegis to slow them down. And your ultimate, you leap to your enemy and you do a substantial amount of damage, but you put up this impassable terrain. The only way they can get through it is with a flash or a teleport. Now, this helps you out so much in initiation. You can be a long distance away and use your combo and slow them down and jump on them, or jump on them and then slow them down. So if your wall goes down before you're ready, they'll still be slowed. Now you can also hit your R button and lower the wall back down, so you or your allies can get out of the terrain, or if they flash out, you can go ahead and keep chasing them. But it's one of the best ultimates in the game, I believe, as far as for initiation and entrapment to keep the enemies in. Also, in leveling your abilities, the first point I recommend putting in Damascene standard, but you're going to max out your Dragon Strike first, and then your Golden Aegis second, because of the slow duration and slow amount, and then you'll level up your Damascene standard. Of course, anytime you get a chance, you level up your ultimate on that, but first point, Damascene standard, max out Q, max out the Golden Aegis W, and then the Damascene standard E. Alright, let's get into his masteries real quick. Alright, now on his masteries, as you can see, I have 19 in his offense and 11 in his defense. And in offense, we're going to go with the double-edged sword, the feast, 4 in fury, brute force, 1 over here on the butcher for your helping out with your minions, of course, since you're jungling. Executioner, increased damage dealt, champions below 50% health by 5%. This is going to help you out in your ganking. And of course, for the champions trying to get away. Martial mastery, spell weaving, blade weaving, devastating strikes. And over here on the defensive side, we're going to go with the minion defensive masteries. Also some defense for the champions with block and unyielding, of course tough skin and bladed for the minion. Veteran Scars, this is going to increase your health in the beginning. This is going to help you out in the beginning of jungling. That's one of the more important things, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the runes too. The beginning of jungling is where you're going to get your initial surge. The more you have to recall, the further it puts you behind, just like in laning, of course, but in jungling, your initial part is the most important. Juggernaut, plus 3% maximum health, and oppression. Um, and these, of course, Jarvan is a tanky champion, but he can also be an extreme damage dealer too. You can build him tanky or bruiser. Of course, the bruiser being an off tank, basically. It all depends on your team and everything of that nature, and we'll talk more about that on the item builds. Alright, let's go ahead and jump over to his runes real quick. Alright, so in his runes, on your marks, you get the greater mark of armor penetration, plus 1.28 armor penetration. This is going to help you out in your jungling with your attack damage. In these, you can swap one or two of them out if you want to for attack damage or critical strike chance in the mark category. In the seals, we have the greater seal of armor, plus 1 armor, all the way across, also on this. The glyph of magic resist, greater glyph of magic resist, plus 1.34 magic resist all the way across, and then your greater quintessence of attack damage all the way across. The reason I built it this way is because, well, and for the guide, a lot of people are limited on the rune pages, and you might have to use this for other tanky champions, your top lane tanky champions and stuff of that nature, or some other junglers. That's why I went ahead and show it to you this way. You can get the scaling if you want to, but the reason you go with the initial damage is because that is going to help you out so much in the beginning of the game with jungling, and that, like I said, is one of the most important parts of the game with jungling, is the beginning. So do the initials. Of course, you can get the scaling if you want to. Nobody's holding you back from that. You can do what you want at that point. This is just suggestions, showing the importance of the beginning of the game for jungling. Alright, let's go ahead and get over to his item build. Alright, so on his items, as you can see, I have the tank and jungle in the same. A lot of the items are really similar depending on what role you're going into and what you're wanting to do. But his initial items for jungling, you're going to use your hunter's machete, because it's the recipe for getting into your spirit of the Elder Lizard. We'll go over in a second. You're also either going to choose the warding totem or the sweeping lens, depending on if you're wanting more vision for counter jungling, or if you're wanting to see the enemy wards for the ganks and stuff of that nature. Your main jungling item you're going to build into is the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. It's going to give you more attack damage and cooldown reduction. It also will give you stacks for killing monsters. You'll get bonus cash as you go, and it's just with time it builds up the stacks. It also would deal additional damage to the minions, along with restoring 6% of the damage as health and 3% as mana. Your other items, it's going to be situational. You're going to be looking at going as what your team needs, a tank, bruiser, what your team's going to need. You're also going to look at the enemy team, what they're building. Are they more AD? Are they more AP? Is the ADC getting fed a lot? Are the AD champions getting fed more, or the AP champions getting fed more? You're going to be looking at all those to decide what you're going to build. If you're going your damage route, I got some items with the Brutalizer, giving you cooldown reduction and armor penetration. Your pickaxe, which is going to build into your Ravenous Hydra with AoE attacks. Your Giant's Belt for health. Your Warden's Mail for armor. And these are the first items when you're going back for recall, of course, along with building your jungling item, the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. You got your boots. You're going to choose between the Ninja Tabby or the Mercury Tread. Most likely you're going to go with Mercury's Treads to help you out with a little bit of magic resist, but your tenacity, it reduces the stuns and the CCs for when you're roaming around. And then, of course, your Kindle Gem, which is going to build into magic resist items, and your Spectre's Cowl is going to build into your magic resist items. So in the early game, if you already see that they have more AP and you're wanting to go for a magic resist tank build, then those might be a couple items you look into in the beginning, or at least try to build into them. End game goals, I got for your armor, If you're going full tank for armor against AD, your random's Omen, which gives you reduces attacker's attack speed when they're attacking you. Activation will slow enemy movement speed for a couple seconds. Also gives you health and armor. Your Sunfire Cape deals damage to enemy champions or minions near you and gives you increased health and armor. Your Thorn Mail is going to give you a significant amount of armor, but it's going to send 30% of the damage dealt to you is going to go to the attacker. Your Frozen Heart, normally only one champion gets this, and this is for the later game, for your team fights and stuff. It reduces the attack speed of nearby enemies by 15%. You're only going to get this if the AD champions are doing a significant amount of damage and they really got fed and they're really up there and they're giving you all a lot of trouble. If their AP champions are the ones you got to worry about, you might not necessarily worry about this item. And of course I have your Ninja Tappy there. Your damage situational items, if you're going more AD and let's say they have a lot of tanks, or they're a more tanky group of champions, you're going to look at your Last Whisper to ignore their armor. And then your Black Cleaver is going to give you more armor penetration also, along with giving you health and attack damage and cooldown reduction. Your Frozen Mallet, that's going to be something, if you're going completely AD, you want to slow down their movement speed so you can keep up with them, and it's going to give you a significant amount of health and damage. Your Ravenous Hydra for AoE, a significant amount of increased damage, and then lifesteal, and of course health regeneration. So not only do you have the lifesteal, but you get health regen. And then your Blade of the Ruined King, its active is the main thing to look at. It deals 10% of the target champion's maximum health and heals you for that amount. That's the active on it, and of course it gives you lifesteal and increased attack speed and increased damage. Your magic resist items, if the enemy team's going more AP, of course, you look at the Spirit's Visage. It gives you increased magic resistance, increased health, a significant amount of health regen, and cooldown reduction. It also increases your self-healing, health regen, lifesteal, and spell vamp effects by 20%. Your Mercury Treads, we already talked about those. Maul of the Malmortis, that's if you're going semi-bruiser and you're wanting some magic resist items. This would be a good one to pick up. It gives you increased damage. It also will increase its damage for your percentage of missing health. And then if you receive a magic blow that would drop you below 30% health, it'll grant you a magic shield. Only reduces magic damage. It absorbs 400 magic damage for up to 5 seconds. The Banshee's Veil increases your magic resist, 450 health. It also will give you a shield that will block any ability, any incoming ability. But you have to watch if the enemy catches onto that, and they might use a small spell to knock it down, and then they burn you down with another spell. And then your Guardian Shield, or the Guardian Angel, increases your armor and magic resist. And if you take a lethal blow, it'll restore 30% of your max health and mana after 4 seconds. And then of course we already went over your jungle items. So you got to look at, with Jarvan, you have to look at what your team needs and what the enemy team is doing. He can do 2 different roles with the tank or the bruiser, and play both of them very well. So you need to look at what your team needs and what your enemy team is doing, and you'll do very well with Jarvan. In the beginning with Jarvan, it might be a little bit difficult until you get used to it. That's why you take plenty of health pots out with you. If I didn't mention that at the beginning, go ahead and get, I think you can only get 4 now. With the new patch, you might be able to get 5. Get as many as you can, along with the Hunter's Machete. And then once you do that first recall and you come back and you get some more health pots and you get some more items, you're going to go through the jungle just fine. It's just keeping up with your rotation and helping out with the ganks. Alright, let's go ahead and get to the game footage, and I'll see y'all at the end of the footage. Alright guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the guide. If y'all have any questions or anything of that nature, or you have your own input of ideas to make this guide better, or to that you have found better, go ahead and let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe, because we have plenty of guides out right now, and we've got plenty more coming out in the near future. And keep in touch with us, and we'll see y'all on the next one.